Welcome to Whiskey's a Journey. My name is Peter Fasciano, and you're watching my Monday series. Last Monday, we were at Jack Daniel's. We're going to leave Jack Daniel's and head over to the Bernheim Distillery or Heaven Hill Distillery, and we're going to be taking a look at Evan Williams Single Barrel Vintage. This is coming in at 43.3% ABV, which is 86.6 proof. This one was put in oak in 2014. It was barreled on 4/2/14. It's barrel number 265, and it was bottled 3/1/22. 7 years, 11 months old, just about 8 years old. And from what I can tell, the mash bill for this is 78% corn, 10% rye, and 12% barley. If I got that wrong, let me know in the comments down below. This is a 750 milliliter bottle, and at the time that I purchased it, this was $31.99 in Phoenix, Arizona. And unfortunately, this is no longer a distributed bottle outside of Kentucky. Apparently, there were some barrel issues and some other issues, I'm not exactly sure, and they decided just to make this a Kentucky release. If you know any other reason why other than a barrel shortage that caused this to be a Kentucky only release, let me know in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, share, do all those things that YouTubers ask you to do. Turn that bell notification on because I go live with videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. All right, I poured it. Let's nose it, taste it, talk about it, and then if you stick around, I'm going to give it a score at the end. Smells like bourbon. There is nothing more classic than brown sugar, vanilla, caramel, and a slight, I mean very slight amount of cherry. So if you like the smell of bourbon, you're gonna like the smell of this one. Let's go ahead and get it on the palate. So everything on the nose is also coming through on the palate. You get a good amount of oak, the brown sugar, the vanilla, the caramel, all of that is there. I don't really necessarily pick up on the cherry note, but there is a small amount of leather and tobacco. Recently, I've been pulling out a lot of chocolate notes out of some bourbons that I've been having, and maybe it's just on my brain or in my mind, but I do get a little bit of chocolate in here as well. I would say for a low proof pour, 43.3% ABV, this does have some pretty good flavors in it. Now, you can't always trust that first sip, so let's go ahead and get that second sip down, concentrate on the finish, see if there's anything else I can pull out of this. Vanilla, caramel, oak, brown sugar. Even though 43.3% ABV, I do get a good amount of ethanol. That's kind of resonating in my mouth. Like always, I end up getting a little bit of barrel bitterness on the side of the tongue. I would say that this is a pretty short to medium finished whiskey. Nothing is really jumping out of the glass. It does seem to be a little bit thin, which is expected with that low proof. Again, just all very standard bourbon notes. There's nothing amazing in this glass. It's just typical. It's good. I wouldn't say that there is anything off-putting with this. Knowing the ABV going into this, like I said, it's just your typical bourbon at a low proof and a pretty good price point. Let's get that third sip in. Even though this is low proof, I'm going to add maybe just a drop of water just to keep it consistent like I have with all the other videos. And like I had mentioned before, there's not a whole lot to talk about. I'm just curious on why this is a Kentucky only release. As soon as I heard that this was going to only be released in Kentucky, I went out and I bought this bottle. They stayed on the shelves in Phoenix, Arizona for a little bit, and it's probably been about 6 months now since I've seen the last bottle on the shelf. And based on the notes that I have, this ended up becoming the Kentucky only release as of May or July of 2022. And based on what I read, it was because there is a barrel supply shortage, or just a barrel supply of these individual vintage barrels. Let me know in the comments down below. All right, now that the water's been in here for a little bit, let's go ahead and get this on the nose, taste it, and then give it a score. All right, I don't think anything has really changed, just the same typical stuff that I got at the very beginning. It does smell a little bit sweeter on the nose with the water than without, and I do get a small touch of spice as well, but everything else is there, the vanilla, the caramel, and the brown sugar. Let's get it on the palate. All right, a little bit more spice on that sip. Maybe that water separated something in the glass, caused it to be a little bit more spicy. Coming across as a little bit of cinnamon. The cherry notes are non-existent, and it's all pretty much vanilla, caramel, and brown sugar. All right, so if you are new here, my scoring system is out of 5 stars. And I do need to do a little bit of backtracking because since this is my single barrel bourbon reviews, I gave Four Roses, just their 100 proof single barrel, a 3. And everything that I do is based off of the individual series, the single barrel bourbons. I think this is not as good as Four Roses. So I'm going to do all this change in the document below. If you're curious on my sip it or skip it tallies and or my scoring of bourbons and all the other Monday series that I have, there's a link in the description below. Just go ahead and click on that link and it'll give you all of my scores from all of the whiskeys that I've done up to this point in my entire channel history. And because I gave Four Roses a 3 and I like this less than the Four Roses, but I don't believe this is going to drop below a 3. So I'm going to adjust my scores. I'm going to bump up Four Roses to a 3.5, and I'm going to put this one at a 3 because there really is no comparison to Four Roses single barrel and then this vintage single barrel. There are far more flavors in the Four Roses, even though I might not necessarily be the biggest fan of the Four Roses profile. This does fall flat compared to the Four Roses. So 3 for this, Four Roses, bumping that up to 3.5. And I guess to this point, if you have an Evan Williams single barrel vintage, what year was yours put in oak? Do you like these? Do you not like these? Do you still see them in your area? Leave all those comments in the comments below. And I think that's all I have for you today. So wherever you're at in your journey, I hope you're enjoying your journey. And we will talk to you later on Monday or Wednesday or Friday, depending upon when you're watching this, with another single barrel review. And I think I'm going to end up doing Knob Creek 9. So stick around, like, subscribe, share, do all those things that YouTubers ask you to do, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.